The new recruit, private contractor entry level. You will keep waking up at 0500 until waking up at 0500 becomes the only thing you know how to do. Your world is small on purpose. You carry what you're told to carry, you go where you're told to go, and you do not ask about the bigger picture because nobody is going to explain the bigger picture to you. Not yet. Waiting in a truck, waiting in a staging area, waiting outside a building while someone more important than you does something more important than whatever you're doing. You eat bad food fast, sleep in short windows, and your most meaningful relationship is with the guy sitting next to you who is also waiting and also doesn't know what's happening. You trust them not because you chose to, but because circumstances have made them the only option. You're not a soldier. You're paid better than a soldier and protected worse than one. Nobody is coming to rescue you if things go sideways. That's in the contract, the fine print you definitely read. You're a professional, which in this context means you have no one to blame but yourself. You find this either terrifying or clarifying depending on the day. What you do have is skill. You are very, very good at a specific, narrow thing. You can breach a door, fix a satellite phone, drive a vehicle through conditions that would end most careers. You are excellent at the task. What you don't control is whether the task matters. That's above your pay grade, literally. The specialist, team lead, mid-level operator, who ordered it, but you know what it is. And that difference is larger than it sounds. You're responsible for 5 other people who are at the stage you just left. They look at you like you have answers. You have slightly more answers than they do, which isn't the same thing, but is close enough to function. The job at this level is translation. Command gives you an objective in the abstract. Secure the perimeter. Extract the asset. Make sure nothing happens between 0200 and 0600. And you have to turn that into something real and physical that 5 people with guns can actually do. Most of what you do is fill in the gaps between what you were told and what's actually in front of you. The gap is always bigger than briefed. You've stopped thinking about whether this is what you imagined the life would be. You've started thinking about whether everyone is coming back. That shift happens to everyone at this level, and nobody really talks about it. You make decisions quickly and defend them slowly. You are decisive in the field and uncertain in the dark at 3 a.m. when nothing is happening and there's too much time to think. Your pay is better, your risk is different, less physical exposure, more decision weight. If a new recruit makes a mistake, they might get hurt. If you make a mistake, multiple people might get hurt. You carry that around. It changes your posture. People who haven't been at this level don't notice it. People who have can spot it immediately. The operator, senior field commander, high-value assets, depending on who's in the room. Clients request you by name or by type. They want someone with your record, your particular combination of discretion and capability. You are no longer anonymous. That's useful commercially and occasionally problematic operationally. You run complex, multi-phase operations, things that require coordination across geography, contingency planning for contingency plans, and the ability to make calls when communication goes down and the plan no longer resembles the briefing. You've been in enough situations where the plan fell apart that you've stopped thinking of the plan as the plan. The plan is the starting point. Execution is the actual job. The clients you deal with now are serious. Government adjacent, corporate at a scale that makes nationality complicated, private individuals with more money than most countries, and specific problems that require your specific set of skills. You don't ask too many questions about their motivations, and they don't ask too many questions about your methods. There is a professional courtesy in this arrangement that functions as long as results keep arriving. What nobody tells you about this level is how much of it is management. You are managing people's fear, managing client expectations, managing the gap between what was promised and what is achievable. You are also managing your own psychology in a situation where the people around you are either subordinates or clients, and there is no one in either category who you can be honest with about what this is actually like. You are good at your job. You are also quietly aware that there is no clean version of what you do. The director, operations coordinator, back of house. Miss it in a way you can't explain to anyone who hasn't been there. What you have instead is a room with screens, a headset,
and responsibility for multiple active operations running simultaneously in different time zones. You are the node that everything runs through. You don't pull triggers anymore. You make decisions that determine who does. Your job is information architecture. You receive fragmented intelligence from unreliable sources, cross-reference it against operational patterns you've spent a career learning to read, and make judgment calls on incomplete data under time pressure. You are wrong sometimes. The consequences of being wrong at this level are not abstract. You've been wrong. You know what that means. You keep doing the job. The people in the field trust you, which is the most important asset you hold. That trust is built on a long history of making good calls and on being honest with them about the ones that weren't. You don't sugarcoat the intelligence picture. You don't oversell the extraction window. If you say the route is clear, you have done everything in your power to verify it is clear. That's the agreement you've made with everyone working under you. Accuracy over reassurance. Clients see you rarely. When they do, it's because something has gone wrong at a scale that requires explanation. You have become fluent in the language of managed expectations and institutional distance. You know how to sit in a room with very powerful people and tell them things they don't want to hear in a way that makes them trust you more rather than less. It's a skill that took years to develop, and which you find faintly disturbing that you have.
The executive, C-suite, private military corporation, in geopolitical risk windows, in the regulatory environments of 6 different jurisdictions and how they interact with each other. Your company has 1,200 people deployed across 4 continents. You know their names in aggregate. You know the work intimately in theory. The distance between those 2 things is the cost of scale, and you've accepted it the way you accept all costs at this level, as a structural feature, not a moral failure. Your days are boardrooms and secure calls and the particular social performance of being trusted by people who do not know each other but who both know you. You are the connective tissue in arrangements that cannot be written down. You are very well compensated. You are aware that the compensation is partly for the work and partly for the exposure, and you have become sophisticated enough to understand that distinction even if there's nowhere you can make it out loud. The hardest part of this level is the drift between who you were and who you are required to be. The person who started in a truck at 0500 waiting for instructions is technically the same person who is now sitting in a car being driven to a meeting about a contract worth more than some national defense budgets. You don't lose that person, but you have to keep them in a specific room in your mind and keep that room mostly closed because the world you're operating in now does not have a use for them. You think about legacy in ways that would have seemed abstract 10 years ago. Not legacy as in how you'll be remembered. You have been in this business long enough to know that the record of what your company does lives in documents that will be classified for 50 years and in the memories of people who are professionally disinclined to discuss it. Legacy in the sense of what structure you're building and whether it holds after you're gone. Whether the thing you built is better or worse than the space it was built into. You don't have a clean answer. You keep building anyway. The ghost. The name nobody says out loud on any org chart. The people at this level do not attend meetings. They do not appear in contracts. Their compensation is structured in ways that several excellent accountants have been well paid to make difficult to locate. They are known by the outcomes they produce and the problems that quietly stop being problems, and by the particular quality of silence that follows their involvement. You did not plan to become this. Nobody plans to become this. You became this by being exceptionally good at a series of things that led to a series of other things, until the institutional infrastructure dropped away entirely, and what remained was just you, the problem, and the space between them. You work for no one. You work for whoever currently has the most interesting problem and the resources to make it worth your time. These 2 criteria narrow the field considerably. What you know at this level that people at every other level are still learning is that the work was never really about the work. It was always about the relationships between things, between states and corporations, between interests and their instruments, between what people say they want and what they actually need done. You are an expert in the gap between those things. You live in that gap. You have made a life in the negative space of power. in the distance between what is officially true and what is operationally real. You are retired, technically. Technically is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Your phone rings. You look at the number. You think about the house you just bought, the quiet you've been practicing, the particular morning light you've started to appreciate. You think about all of this for a moment that would be very recognizable to anyone who has ever been at this level, and also to absolutely no one else. You pick up.